You know when you see like an article or a headline and you think it's from like The Onion or one of those kind of mock news sites, and you think it's really genius and brilliant and you wish you thought of it, and then you realize it's actually real? So this came out like a couple weeks ago, shared pretty widely locally on social media, but it's just from a little local newspaper. It's a letter to the editor. The title is,
God did not intend for rainbows to be on crosswalks.
I don't even know where to start with this. First of all, like, what other intentions did God have for crosswalks? Are crosswalks really even on his radar? Does God care about crosswalks? As some background, if you've been living under a rock, rainbow crosswalks have been around, I think probably since like the early 2010s. I want to say like 2012 or something. Vancouver, which had I think a temporary crosswalk at Pride every year, made basically a permanent one on Davie Street, and that sparked kind of a movement, and now there's rainbow crosswalks popping up at communities all across Western Canada and the United States. But as this letter goes to show, there's certainly still some contention around this issue. I'm just going to read the whole article. I promise not to interrupt, it'll be tough, but I'll just let this Mitch Russell fellow have his piece. And here's his entire letter to the editor from June 14th to the Cowichan Valley Citizen. I've never considered myself to be an overly intellectual man. Why would you say that? However, it seems to me that some things are just plainly obvious. Like this particular issue, which leaves me continually scratching my head in disbelief. Just how long have you been continually scratching your head though, Mitch? You could lose your hair. I'm sure most have noticed, as I have, the proliferation of rainbow symbols located all across this great nation of ours. One might be tempted to suggest that the rainbow symbol has become as iconic to us Canadians as the maple leaf or a Tim Hortons sign.
Tim Horton Donuts.
Time out, just 1 second. You really don't have to exaggerate like that to prove your point. I mean, nobody is suggesting that an international symbol for pride and diversity is more important to them than the corporate logo of an American-owned fast food chain.
Everyone will love.
This reminds me of that time when Doug Ford, brother of the late Rob Ford, you know, the mayor of Toronto, warned us of a time when Canada's largest city would have more libraries than Tim Hortons.
Whether I'd recognize Margaret Atwood walking down the street or not has nothing to do with the fact that there are libraries all over the city.
Well, I mean, sure, Tim Hortons might just be one of hundreds of brands of coffee shops in Toronto, but a library, after all, is just one kind of a thing that isn't a coffee shop. So just stop pretending there's any controversy about Tim Hortons versus anything. Do we want books or donuts? We know we want donuts. Do we want rights for non-binary and gay people or donuts?
More.
Probably donuts. What was I reading again? Now, I was under the distinct impression that the rainbow symbol had already been taken many, many years ago. Yeah, that was like Apple, right? In 1976? Oh, no, wait. Mitch is talking about that time when God said to Noah and his sons, "Never again will I let floodwaters destroy all life. When I see the rainbow in the sky, I will remember that promise that I have made to every living creature." I'm not sure how or why this actually excludes rainbows from serving any other purpose exactly, but...
Do you know what is a rainbow?
And God is pretty clear about rainbows in the sky, you know, emphasis sky, serving as his personal post-it notes about why he's not gonna drown us all again, you know, hopefully. I'm not sure that crosswalks that welcome gay people would really be on his radar, but maybe Mitch has another explanation for this as well. And I'm pretty sure that the rainbow symbol was not meant to represent anything other than the fact that the earth will never be entirely flooded over ever again. And God said unto man that rainbows shall adorn only blue skies, Mario Kart, ice cream, and direct them to the leprechaun's gold. So I actually kind of agree with this statement. I mean, there's actually probably a lot of things that God didn't intend, right? For instance, maybe he didn't even intend for a racist reality TV host best known for tweeting bizarre typos at odd hours of the morning to be his mouthpiece as leader of the free world.
It's been a total disaster.
Here's another thing that God probably didn't intend though, Mitch. God probably didn't intend for idiots to write letters to the editor.
How to write a letter to the editor. You will need wit, rationality,
or for you or me or anyone else to make conjectures about God's intentions for the Public Works Department of the city of Duncan. Although he definitely did have plans for the largest hockey stick in the world. I mean, that was definitely on his radar. That was part of his vision from day one. I'm pretty sure right after Let There Be Light, there was Let Duncan have the
world's biggest hockey stick.
The biggest anymore.
Well, there's debate. Don't expect miracles.
But I digress. Back to the letter. We'll just go through the whole thing and then I'll come back for comments after. I promise I won't interrupt. It seems reasonable to think that if anyone had taken the notion to alter the meaning of the rainbow, they may have to face consternation from the one who originally created it. As long as it seems reasonable to you, Mitch, that's all that really matters.
Self-awareness.
Do you just think that gay people don't know what rainbows are?
Can you tell me what a rainbow is?
I am your friend, Angel.
Isn't your whole point that someone did take the notion? I mean, let's just be honest, they did take the notion with a side of deliberate salad and an extra plate of intention.
Just want you to stop saying odd shit.
And even based on your competing definitions, I mean, who's to say that's not the suitable use of a symbol basically reminding God and all Christians that diverse life is precious and killing it all would kind of suck. Especially if you alter its meaning to something contrary to the original creator's ideal. Okay, first off, this is the most subjective thing in an incredibly subjective letter. I mean, as any gay Christian will tell you. But secondly, I'm still not sure how this is really altering the original meaning. It's not like God trademarked a particular sequence of colors and has a team of lawyers scouring for Chinese knockoffs. Unless that's your job, Mitch. I don't know, maybe it is. I'm not sure exactly how or why this should exclude rainbows from serving any other symbolic purpose. I can say, every time I see a ghost, I think of dead people. It doesn't mean everyone else is going to associate ghosts with untimely death, or that, you can't use a ghost to brand your social media platform around sharing photos on the internet.
The app was launched on the App Store under the name Peekaboo.
I don't get it.
Never mind the hundreds of other religious symbols that have basically been co-opted by corporations with completely contrary objectives. I mean, no one stopped the company ranked #1 least ethical by multiple independent research firms from using a symbol associated closely with Jesus for its corporate logo. Furthermore, it follows that the individual behind the original alteration has done so purposefully to directly mock the original creator of the rainbow. It is as if they were trying to pick a fight, sort of speak, with its actual designer. Well, Mitch, I gotta say, I really do like your use of as if here. It's as if just because you tell someone that they're born as a sinful freak of nature, suddenly they want to pick a fight with their designer?
Let me simplify this for you.
It's almost as if a community clawing its way through centuries of oppression from a mainstream Christian society that considers them unnatural suddenly takes issue with what mainstream Christian society's interpretations of natural symbols actually are. Do you think? I gotta hand it to you though, Mitch, because you can't accredit the rainbow flag in its current use as an LGBTQ symbol to one individual with a very specific master plan, and his name was Gilbert Baker. Mitch, why don't you and me just take a little trip down memory lane together?
Up until the rainbow flag in 1978, the pink triangle had really functioned as kind of the symbol for homosexuality and gay rights, but it was designed by Hitler. It was put on us in the same way that they used the Star of David against Jews. And then using something from nature, taking the rainbow, one of the most beautiful, magical, spiritual parts of nature, and making that a symbol for our sexuality, for our human right.
Okay, so Gilbert was trying to replace a symbol used to segregate people into Nazi death camps by celebrating something he admired in nature?
I like you. You have balls. I like balls.
Step 6. Propose a respectful and rational resolution in the last paragraph.
If the creator of the rainbow should want to retaliate, and should he want to ascertain exactly who his allies are, it would seem prudent to choose your side wisely, as most know. God always wins in the end. First off, Mitch, run-on sentence, big time. That whole paragraph, one sentence, it's just not pretty. I literally can't tell, Mitch, if you're literally being literal or not.
Literally? That's outrageous. Wait.
You don't know the difference between figuratively and literally, do you?
I don't know if the paper maybe did like a bad job editing or abridging. I mean, what sides are we talking about here when you're choosing sides? Are we talking like God versus gay, or are you just choosing sides of the crosswalk? Okay, no wait, I think I understand now. Maybe you mean like if there's two parallel crosswalks in the same intersection, one is rainbows and one's just like the fur of a zebra, just as God intended. And we're gonna choose the one that doesn't remind God of his promise not to drown us all. I gotcha. But see, here's the problem. The gays are getting smarter and sometimes they're surrounding us in rainbow crosswalks. And suddenly, the only way to avoid a crosswalk is to jaywalk. And I mean, it's been a while since I read the 10 Commandments, but I'm pretty sure one of them is no jaywalking. And even if jaywalking were legal under both government and God's law, the issue remains. It kind of sounds like it could be slang for some deviant homosexual activity, so it's probably not something you want to do if you're trying to pretend that the whole world is straight. God always wins in the end. That's some menacing shit right there. I'll tell you what, Mitch, if your goal was to strike fear into the hearts and minds of those on the wrong side of the rainbow crosswalk, then color me fearful. In fact, after reading your letter, Mitch, I was so paranoid about crossing a rainbow crosswalk, I had to send my queer-ass girlfriend ahead of me like a guinea pig. I figured, if God didn't smite her, then I'd probably be fine. But guess what? God smited her. Smut her?
Smite, smith, smuggle, smut, smutty, smack, snaffles.
God smut her. So it looks like I owe you an apology, Mitch. Thank you so much for building a time machine to deliver this important message from 1814 to the Cowichan Valley citizen in this modern, complicated age and helping us to see the light.
Thank you for making this easy for me.
Also, did you see the size of that lightning? It kind of begs the question, why is she even with me if she's that gay? Why did the gay cross the road? Probably just to piss off God. So I guess in the end we can all agree, God really didn't intend for rainbows to be on crosswalks. So guys, next time you're passing through Duncan, BC on Vancouver Island, and you just have to cross that one particular street in that one particular direction, and you look down and what do you see but a full spectrum of godforsaken color, just remember what Mitch Russell warned you.
Grizzle guards are on sale now at the concession center.
Now here's the thing, the Cowichan Valley Citizen received so much flack for this letter. I mean, people were so pissed off that the paper's Google rank fell to 1 star. That's kind of hard to do. That's like, if you're a restaurant, you have to like make sure there's like a cockroach or a rat in every person's meal. Daddy! I mean, people are actually boycotting this paper over this. They actually had to issue an apology and a retraction. A lot of people are basically saying that this is hate speech and it shouldn't be allowed in the paper at all. True hate speech in Canada is actually illegal. It's kind of cool, actually.
Understatement of the year, asshole.
If this paper were actually deliberately publishing hate speech, I'm pretty sure they'd have a lot more to contend with than 63 angry Facebook comments. But beyond that, I don't really feel like an apology should have been necessary. I mean, let's be honest, for small papers like this, what's the point of the letters to the editor section if it's not sharing the embarrassingly outdated and bitter opinions of the readership? It's kind of what the letters to the editor section is. It's a grand tradition. For these small papers that don't have like the funnies, that don't have comics, I mean, where are you gonna get your dose of humor? For this kind of paper to apologize for unearthing comedy gold like this is kind of like, you know, the Barrett Corporation apologizing for unearthing real gold. Like it or not, it's kind of their job. I mean, the Citizen is one of those free, like, bi-weekly rags that's best known for keeping your Canadian Tire flyer dry while it's been sitting on your porch for a week. And I don't mean any disrespect to the Citizen for calling it a rag. I mean, I love rags. Rags are a vital part of society. We use rags all the time to mop up big, sticky, proverbial messes and discover if that's actually supposed to be a shag carpet down there or if there's just so much cat hair that we can't remember the hardwood. Like it or not, community papers like this bring to light both the good and bad in a community and really tell us who our neighbors are in ways that we might never otherwise know. These papers just give us exactly what we want to hear all the time and start censoring people like Mr. Russell, then how are we ever actually going to know what the LGBTQ community or other communities are up against? And the way that we know how much support they do have is the way that the community responds, which luckily in this case is overwhelmingly in support of rainbow crosswalks. Also, if they stop publishing stuff like this, then what am I going to rant about? So I just wanted to share this editorial, mostly just because I found it really amusing, but also I think it does have an educational value. As Sylvia's pointing out, she's recovering from being struck by lightning. Hopefully one day we'll get to a point where these letters, you know, aren't coming into the news offices, but as long as they are, it's better that we know about it than that we brush it under the rug and just pretend that, you know, we're all on the same page in this thing. Rainbow crosswalks are really just like this little small symbolic gesture. It's still, you know, we have a long way to go. There's so many more things that we can and must do at a very practical level as communities to support the LGBTQ community. And crosswalks is just such a little, simple, easy thing. It really should be a no-brainer. If for some reason you like hearing people rant and complain about things, then you'll definitely want to subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for future conversations. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.
Now go home.